And this is how it begins. My drawing desk, my pencil or pencils, pencil sharpener. It is this portable one, although I have showed you before this larger fixed upon the surface of my desk. This is the other side of the desk. The first side is the computer one, and this one is where I make things happen on paper. That's it, and voila, the lead is sharpened, so I can proceed with this drawing. Let's just for the argument's sake, remind ourselves with the rough sketch I did and took the photo with my cell phone, hence the quality, and this is the finished or rather tightened sketch. And now the tightened sketch is already in the process of being treated with graphite. Let me proceed. Many of you, especially if you are from Italy or ex-Yugoslavia, you remember Bonelli comic called ZAGOR. Well, I'm drawing in front of you the very hero of the series, the fearless ZAGOR, which is the most unusual hero that ever was, or so I think, because you see, ZAGOR is Italian comic from the famous publisher of comic books Bonelli. Besides Dylan Dog, Nick Ryder, Martin Mister, and Dampier, and so many other titles, Bonelli is mostly known as publisher of westerns, not just spaghetti westerns, mind you, westerns, period. So Google Bonelli with double L. They have site also in English, so you can see what it is about. As far as I know, they are popular in home country in Italy, a little bit in France, a little bit in Germany here and there, but mostly they are insanely popular in the countries that used to make Yugoslavia, which is now separated after one of the bloodiest civil wars into 6 different entities. I'm not going to bother you with history, I'm just going to tell you that ZAGOR is insanely popular in Serbia, and I presume in other now independent republics. But in Serbia, no Batman, no Captain America, no Iron Man, no Spider-Man, no Daredevil, and so on and so forth can compare to ZAGOR, who lives in a very special version of Wild West. Yes, he lives in the Wild West, but he is not a cowboy. There is no Stetson hat on his head, and believe it or not, ZAGOR lives in a very special version, so to speak, of Old West, where amongst all the cities in the prairie, the minor towns and so on, there is an honest to God jungle. Can you believe it? In the Wild West, in completely different climate, there is jungle. And ZAGOR is some kind of Tarzanish, superhero-ish protector of that realm, with the absolutely phenomenal help from the worst Mexican stereotype called Chico, a short, pudgy bloke who is some kind of comedy relief kind of a character, you know. And don't ask me why, don't ask me how, it just works. And suffice to say, people love Zagor's adventures. Me? Oh, frankly, I haven't read a single Zagor comic book. I'm not going to belittle that comic. I'm not going to criticize it. Let's just say it is not my kettle of midget turtles, and I simply didn't find myself interested in reading that comic. People just go crazy about Zagor. I remember Ferry, that is the name of Zagor's creator and the main artist, who died recently when he came to Serbia. It was absolutely sensational. I doubt that such media attention and fan excitement could be created if Frank Miller or John Romita, whether senior or junior, or Dave Finch or Frank Cho, if they appeared, I strongly doubt that they would be such a big deal as Galliano Ferri was when he visited shortly before his untimely death my country. I apologize, I forgot which comics festival it was, but he was there, and as I said, he was sensation of the first rate. Unimaginable. Phenomenal. As far as I know, there is only one Serbian artist nowadays officially working for Bonelli and drawing Zagor. Mind you, there are several Serbian artists working for Bonelli on various other titles, but regarding Zagor, there is only one artist. If I'm not wrong, okay, let me plug my colleagues. Branislav Bane Kerac is an artist who draws Zagor. Laci Krstic, he draws for Bonelli several Western comics, and there is also Darko Perovic, who used to draw Il Magico Vento with several other artists, and as far as I know, nowadays he's drawing something else. So these are the three artists that I'm aware of, my countrymen, and I know all of them. I even think I'm friends with some of them. So they are contributing to the Bonelli magic. As I said, Zagor lives in this very special kind of Old West with the real jungle in the prairie. I think there might be a story that explained how all these things happened. How did Zagor actually wind up there in that jungle, and how did he become what he became? I'll just make a note here for all of you who would like to do a research. So if you are intent on going to Google, please, this is how it's written: Zagor, and the publisher is Bonelli. Bonelli Italia. Come on. Oh dear. Markers. Aha, here it is. Bonelli, Italia. Give it a whirl. I'm sure you are going to find a lot of interesting things, and maybe, who knows, you will become a regular reader of those really special comics. My most favorite used to be, and probably still is, Dylan Dog, the investigator of supernatural things. And whilst I lived in London, in England, I tried, almost managed to visit personally all the places, including Craven Road, where Dylan Dog allegedly lives. Anything that was mentioned in the comic, and I managed to find out that it's true, I went and visited it. What I'm doing now with a graphite pencil, which, mind you, has quite a hard lead. Let me check out. It is F. F probably stands for fine. It is something between H and 2H, or maybe HB and H, I'm not sure. But F hardness is quite difficult to be found nowadays. And I had a friend who gave me several boxes with those F leads, and I'm really grateful. They are my most favorite, and I love drawing with them. In most cases, I don't draw like, you know, from the beginning to the end with these leads. I use them mostly for finishing the rough sketch like this one, whether rough sketch was done in graphite or blue lead or red, my most favorite. Why do I do it? Well, as I think explained sometime earlier or in one of previous videos, I really hate my way of drawing, which is quite scribbly, you know. I'm not able to draw precisely. I always have my pencil roam and scribble, so if I do it with graphite pencil, it looks like, you know, like someone ate a lot of graphite and then overdid it and vomited on paper. So I use a color pencil. You see here this line? I hope it is visible. ZAGOR's head was a little bit higher, and I decided to lower it so I can have this pose which Deadpool famously proclaimed in his movie Superhero Landing. All characters, whether they are Marvel or DC superheroes, when they jump from certain height, they always manage to land like this, you know, very attractive pose. Everybody does it. Spider-Man does it. Daredevil does it. Iron Man does it. I mean, Black Widow does it. So I wanted ZAGOR in this superhero landing pose. And he is some kind of a superhero because on his chest you can notice this insignia, which looks like some kind of a bird or whatever this represents. I don't know what it is. I admit I'm totally out of the ZAGOR mythos, so I don't know what this represents. Maybe he's spiritual animal, or who knows. So he has a costume. Try going on Google Images and Google ZAGOR, and you might actually get a lot more visual references who he is and how he looks, and especially his inseparable Mexican friend Chico. Chico, it is apparent, exists only to be a comical relief. And his role is, in the comic, the role of usually a female character. He's in constant trouble, so our intrepid, is it intrepid or interpid? Intrepid, I think, hero Zagor has to save his klutz friend, and usually arrives at the last minute. On many drawings, they are shown walking hand in hand or arm under the arm. Can you believe it? I leave it to others to decide about the nature of their relationship. I'm not going to suggest anything. I can only say that Zagor is, in most cases, very well drawn strip, and frankly, although I gave my best to read it, I couldn't go through it. Sorry. It is nothing against the comic. It is how I reacted to the comic book. But I have to say that I managed to go through the movie Zagor, which is made in Turkey, without any respect towards intellectual property, without any restraint. In Turkey, they just make films as they please. Films even with Spider-Man as a murderer who attacks women in bathrooms, in showers. So Captain America and similar characters, of course in Turkish version, chase down Spider-Man to catch him and dispose of him. Zagor is a ridiculously phenomenal piece of, I don't know whether it is camp or is it really played for real. I laughed my head off, although it is obvious that it is not a comedy. Give it a try. All those movies are on YouTube. It is, in most cases, nothing to do with the real Zagor from comics, but it looks really worth watching. That's what I would say. The thing that makes me concentrate on this particular drawing is there is a new friend I got, and he asked me what he asked other artists to draw for him his favorite comic book hero. Guess who? So I'm doing it, and I'm approaching it like a professional task, in spite of the fact that I'm not paid at all for this. So this is a freebie I'm doing for a friend, but I took it as a challenge to draw something I don't usually draw, and something that I actually, well, let's be honest, that I don't like. Again, it is nothing about the very character or the comic. It is just me and how I feel about this creation. As you can see, I'm quite slow, and I don't know if other artists are like that. I have seen these videos where their hand moves unbelievably fast, but I think it is a frame skipping approach, or fast forward, however you're gonna call it. Yes, I know that there are artists who are capable of really drawing fast, guess what? I'm not one of these guys, one of those guys, pardon me. So I'm going to do my best to draw the way I draw, because the last thing I want is to make a drawing I'm really unhappy with because it looks rushed. I mean, sometimes when I think of it, I think I can't make a rushed drawing even if I wanted to. Go figure. Let's go back to these sketches. If you pay attention, I have established the body shape first, then lower limbs, then arms, and last was head, which was drawn at first a little bit higher and then lower. And I have divided the figure, the head and the body symmetrically with the center line, and then, and only then, I proceeded to tighten it with a more careful, detailed delineation in red pencil too. And only then, when I'm happy, I proceed with graphite pencil, and when it is finished, the drawing is not over. No, only half the job is done, because then I need to do inking, because the gentleman who asked me to do this, he wants the drawing properly inked like for a comic. So whilst I'm talking to you and tightening in graphite this drawing, I'm thinking, what can I add in the background? Should I add anything in the background? And many of you might ask me, sorry, I have to drink water, it is very dry and hot here where I am. Excuse me. Anyways, I was asked on many occasions, why do I waste time on so many cleanups, on so many amends and changes and this and that? Aren't you losing spontaneity? I was asked. Well, maybe I am losing indeed. But then I was studying how other artists, especially those I respect immensely, how they do it. And I found out that they actually, either with the use of colored pencils or extensive cleanup using eraser, right? Or here it is, the putty rubber, you know, the putty rubber or kneaded eraser. They clean up the drawing and constantly tighten it until it becomes what they are happy with. And I belong to that group of people. I'm not able to do a rough and then say, that's it, now I'm going to spontaneously render it and leave it as it is. Usually, I'm enormously unhappy with such drawings. I don't know, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do a video on inking this drawing in particular or any other drawing in the future. But trust me, you need to experiment if you want to be an artist. Give it a try how it is to leave all spontaneity in, or if you render it to death with as many cleanups as possible. So the decision is finally yours, and it is up to you whether you are going to be spontaneous or whether you are going to just finish it after many amends. Here on this very desk on which I'm drawing now used to be a light table or a light box or animation table, you know. It is a device where you turn the light under the semi-transparent surface, usually glass or some kind of milky white plastic. I forgot the name in English of that piece of plastic. The point is that very purpose can be achieved with your window during the daylight, you know. You put the sketch you want to clean up or amend or whatever, and you just draw with a fresh piece of paper on top of the sketch. You just draw and do the cleanup or whatever is the intention of yours to do with the drawing. It is in another room because I would like also to have a working space in another room. I don't care, I don't need, you know, a special room that is going to be just for guests or whatever. I don't need guest room, it is going to be working room too. So my light table is over there, and who knows, maybe one of the next videos is going to deal with something I'm going to draw or amend or clean up on top of that very table. So keep your eyes peeled, watch this space. Maybe the very next time I'm going to do it. See, I'm filling in with graphite this area that is supposed to be black instead of doing this X, 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 X. Some people like to do this. They X it, and some people just enjoy this endless kind of time wasting with filling it like this. It is up to you. On many occasions I do this. I lift the drawing against the light to see if I've made mistakes. And in most cases, yes, mistakes are gross, but now I don't see some discrepancies, so I will continue sketching as everything is kind of fine. I had people watching me draw and they say, how do you know when you press more or when you take it easy? I don't know. It is spontaneous, but in most cases I know the lines tending to be under, they have to be heavier than those lights there, because I have even this arrow signifying how the light is coming. I know that this is going to be darker. I can even have a little bit of shadow here. And also I decided now that I want this to be like this, see? certain aspects you sort out in advance, and certain aspects just appear like, wow, I omitted this, I should better put it there. Like this. Uh, in in the comic, Zagor is usually drawn with almost skin-tight jeans. I wonder who is his tailor. The same can be said about Phantom. You know, the comic Phantom, the ghost who walks, who never dies, etc. I mean, he's there in the African jungle, dishing justice left and right, and from the very beginning in medieval times, he has those. He has the costume made of skin-tight matter. I mean, who could make such a costume for him in the jungle? I liked Alex Ross' illustration where he drew Phantom dressed only in his belt with guns on a side, and he didn't wear any costume. He used probably some herbs or some fruits, berries, whatever, to paint his naked body in purple. And that makes more sense than parading around in a costume which looks like something Batman or Spider-Man or Daredevil would wear, you know? Oh, by the way, I love this movie magic thing where they completely got rid of lycra and they are dressing superheroes and superheroines in those almost motorcyclist costumes, you know, heavy leather and stuff. It's something that I presume superheroes would, if they existed, they would probably wear equipment or clothes like that rather than easy to tear lycra costumes, you know. When I was a kid, when I saw first superhero comics, I assumed that they are made of leather, but they didn't look like leather. They looked like skin, only painted, the way I described Phantom's costume just a minute or so ago, you know. Why did superheroes have costumes like that? I'll tell you. The circus aesthetics dictated it, because the only idea of a circus strong woman or strong man were those artists appearing before the audience in those skin-tight lycra costumes, you know, which appeared like paint or dye over their skin. I think it is more than ridiculous to have something like that. First of all, because of wear and tear, and second of all, because it's impractical, folks. Seriously, you need something to protect you, not something that is going to tear at seams if you breathe in more deeply, if you know what I mean. And the whole aesthetics about strong men and women has changed, and circus lost its importance from the yesteryear. Therefore, nowadays we have different ideas how heroes, especially those meta-humans, should be equipped, dressed, and so on. Although ZAGOR doesn't have Stetson hat, a compulsory fashion detail for all the Westerners, he still has his gun, which he carries on the opposite side, and his stone hammer, or as they call it in the comic, axe, is his main weapon. I don't know what is more humane, to whack someone with a bullet or to murder that person with a stone axe, which is another ridiculous element. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be evil and to ridicule fans of ZAGOR. I really respect them, the same way as I respect people who say that they like Prince Valiant and nothing else, or Rip Kirby, or Mandrake the Magician, whatever. Or those who say that they hate comics, period. I respect it. I also dislike many other things, but I'm not mentioning it, not because I'm in fear to offend someone. Frankly, I don't care anymore. Seriously, I don't give a toss. But I keep it for myself. I only mentioned my stance towards ZAGOR because this was quite a challenge to draw the best way I can the character from a comic I've never ever managed to read in my life, and yet to do it properly, decently, and with the same respect I would invest into, I don't know, drawing Deadpool or whatever it is that I really love and would be more than happy to do. Okay, so this is the handle of an axe or hammer. Oh, come to think of it, I almost appear like I have stolen the pose from mighty Thor. That's not the case, people. I swear to you. I didn't steal the pose from Thor, but because of the weapon our hero is showcasing here, he looks, with the addition of a billowing cape, he could look almost like a Thor, and with blonde hair and whatnot. Right, let's finish the hammer then. And we are already 40 minutes into our drawing adventure. Oh, this is going to be quite a long video, and it doesn't make me happy, and I assume neither it makes you happy, because virtually nothing is happening. Look, just my hand. This is improvised. I really don't know how someone draws stone. I hope this communicates stone. That's it. You know what? I think this is taking too long. But hopefully you got an idea how I do it. You see this blob? That's my sweat dripping and turning this piece of paper into a mush. I reckon I'm going to stop now, bid you a good night or good day, and hopefully we'll do something exciting and different than this next time. And until next time, dear stargazers, be good, stay healthy, don't let anyone make you feel afraid, and be happy. Salute, Uncle Boyan, out. Ciao.